So anyways, this past week you saw what I was working on. I was working on just kind of experimenting with Unraid. A couple of weeks ago, I purchased Unraid, and I thought, hey, now's a good time to kind of play with it when I have some of my servers wiped and some of my things down. And as I'm building up this new server for my applications, I thought, hey, what better time than now to try out Unraid? And so it's actually been a lot of fun. It's kind of fun to try something new, like a new perspective on something, right? Like I've done most operating systems out there, especially ones that are focusing on NAS plus applications. Like I've done TrueNAS, Proxmox, you name it. For a long time, I did all kinds of operating systems, especially firewall ones. I used to distro hop all the time with firewall appliance, Linux appliance firewalls. So it's actually fun and kind of refreshing to try Unraid because, again, like they have the same goal in mind that I do. I want an application server. I want just a rock-solid server that will run containers and run them well as have options for storage. I already have a full-blown NAS that's TrueNAS, so I'm not trying to replace that. So I thought it was pretty interesting. It's definitely pretty fun. I was surprised too about how much people liked it, and there are a lot of people that didn't. Right? There are people who don't like Unraid at all, and then there are people who love it, and then there's people in between who have never heard of it or have never tried it, and that was me. I've never tried it, so I figured, hey, I got to try it to have an opinion on it. And also, too, I kind of want to be like a well-rounded home labber. I know that not everybody gets to experiment with lots of stuff, like experiment with lots of hardware, experiment with lots of software. A lot of people don't have the time that I do, or the desire, or the time to do it. So I felt like, hey, I feel like I'd be doing people a disservice if I didn't test it out and know what it's about. I've seen screenshots. I've seen Linus mess with it tons of times. I've seen lots of IbraCorp and Space Invader 1 videos because they like to try out containers, and sometimes their videos on containers I'd end up landing on. And I'd always seen it, and I kind of formed this opinion in my head, what it was, what it wasn't, and what it could do and not do. And I felt like, well, since they've made some licensing change, I bought the license before the licensing change, just for a rainy day. And so this past week has been a rainy day, and it's actually been pretty fun. So, dude, thank you so much. Dude, Sudo AI. I'm going Sudo Al. Thanks for the 100 bits. We'll be trying out Pi-hole for the first time tomorrow. Awesome. Yeah, Pi-hole's awesome. I mean, it's a staple in my home lab. Like, I have way too many instances, but it's one of the things that I'm not going to change for a really long time unless there's something way better. Like if there's something way better, or Pi-hole stops working, or license change, or anything like that. So I feel like, yeah, that's definitely a staple in my home lab on my network. It's always doing DNS for me and obviously blocking stuff too. And I think it has pretty good UI, and it's pretty good. So, anyways, you know how in Zillow, like, they have that like make me move button, or it's something like if a house is selling, then there's like this make me move, where it's just like, it's such a great deal that you have to take it, or that you're gonna sell it, or you're gonna buy it. I feel like a lot of times some of the services that are running in my home lab, there's like a make me move, right? And if it's 1 or 2% better, not gonna make it. 10% better, maybe not. If it's like 25 to 30% better, it's hard to gauge. Then hey, that's a make me move kind of deal. So, anyways, so let's get into chat. Let's talk about chat. Let's see what you guys are working on. Like I said, I have tons of stuff that I'm working on. I have a bunch of projects back there too. A lot of cool stuff back there. Nothing too secret, but just fun stuff. And I'm going to be putting stuff out on my other channel too. I have it's kind of cool. I have 2 lists of content. I'm going to try this for a little while instead of just going to try to put out 2 pieces of content every so often. One on one channel, one on the other. Just try to get into this rhythm with both channels. So it's been kind of fun. New challenge for me. Maintain 2 channels. Even though technically I have 3, I'm calling that channel number 2, even though it's channel 3. No one knows about second channel. So Anyways, let's get into chat. Let's see what you were working on. And hopefully I didn't miss any events. I didn't. Let's get into chat. Let's see what you're working on. Let's talk about stuff. Like I said, if you have something you want to share, throw it in chat. We're going to get around to it. We're going to get around to it unless it's about 45 minutes from now and and I can't get to it because there's so much. So the earlier you get it in, the better. Memens, how's it going? How's it going? Happy affiliate anniversary. Yeah, that's interesting. I looking for group sudo al. I'm looking for group too. Piece of Geek, what's up, man? Dude, I love the flashiness. I can't tell what's going on there. A little twerking or something in there. Let's go. I'm Upa. How's it going? It's going really good. It's going good for me. Yeah, it's a longer weekend for me, so it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Gonna do a lot of outdoor stuff tomorrow, I think so. Let's see. Mike Sco. The first time for me. I'm used to enjoying the YouTube videos. Hey, welcome. Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for coming here. Thanks for making it all the way from YouTube. It's a long way over here. Happy Saturday. Yeah, me too. Hey, Brom. Hey, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. Lots of emojis, so thank you. Last week I mentioned that I was having issues with Ruby version for Jekyll, I remember, so I created an Ubuntu server VM and installed the dependencies prior and was able to get Ruby 3.3.1 running. Now I have a Chirpy template working and super proud to do it in Ubuntu server because I didn't know I could. Thanks for your blog post and a couple of the Reddit subs. Yeah, that's awesome. I remember you were like, I don't know, a minor version off, and we were kind of just spitballing, say, hey, yeah, force override it, install it directly. Glad you got an Ubuntu server and tried it, because I don't know what you were trying to own before, maybe Windows, who knows? But yeah, awesome. That's awesome. You got it. So now you can use Chirpy theme, use Jekyll, and get your blog or your documentation going. Get a website going. Next is going to be certificates if you don't have them already, and or hosting through Cloudflare with tunnels or something like that. But awesome, Utbah. Good to hear it. Rome, set up Pi-hole and traffic for the first time. Awesome. So yeah, so two staples in my home lab. So you're probably looking at my last video for certificates for things internally. It's fun. It's definitely fun. Traffic is one of those that's it's challenging, and I hope that when I redid my tutorial for Traffic 3, that it's a lot more clear than it was before. My Traffic 2 one with Portainer, while still valid, it was very early on in my YouTube game, in my documentation game. And plus, like, when you do something a second time, you take everything you learned from the first time and put in the second. So anyways, I hope you figure it out. I hope you get certificates. Minimally, I hope you get your DNS going, because it's always fun. Anniversary thing, we explain that. But yeah, just an anniversary. It marks, I think, 4 years from when I became an affiliate, which is Twitch's term for, I don't know, you can make money now. Basically, I have a contract with them or something, and you can make money now, but they take a day, they take a lot of it. Anyways, lesson train, woot, update on the GPU install. Yeps, lots of gotchas. Oh, for sure, because last week we were talking about that on Proxmox with GPUs. I was like, yeah, because you were like, are there any gotchas? And I was like, not really. And then I listed out about 4, and I'm like, yeah, there kind of are. There kind of are. Got it working and transcoding. Awesome. Love the Multus content, by the way. Hey, I'm glad you liked it. So a lot going on here. Yes, you got GPU pass-through working with Proxmox. I remember we were talking about, if you're doing UEFI, do it this way. If you're doing BIOS, do it this way. So glad you got it working. Glad you got it figured out. So you got transcoding working. So now you can stream media, non-native resolutions, or for all those that can't have a direct stream. And then yeah, Multus. Multus is one of those things where it's a good tool to have in your tool belt, but it's very specialized. It's very specialized. It's like one of those tools that, like, it's one of those tools that you have that you use every, I don't know, 3 years. But when you have it, you're like, this is exactly the right tool for the problem. And that's where Multus comes in. If you're not familiar with Multus, what it can do is give you an IP address and a MAC address, basically a NIC, kind of like Mac VLAN. on your containers. Very similar to Mac VLAN, and Multus is kind of doing what Mac VLAN does on Docker. Oh, my headphone's falling out. I lost the earbud things, and I can't find the right size, so these fall out all the time. Glad you got it going. Multus is super fun. Like I said, it's definitely a good tool to have. Good tool to have. Marks another year. Oh yeah, thank you, PC Geek. Sudo Al. Is it AI or Al? I think we went through this. I'm looking at the font here, which has serifs, and it looks like Al, so I'm going with Al. Sudo Al. Reconfiguring my NeoVim config. Awesome. Yeah, Vim. That is awesome. It's something that's like, hey, if you use NeoVim, you could probably spend a week on doing that. Let's see. That's the thank you to there. Thank you. He has a really good sense of aesthetics. Oh, thank you. I try. I've been working on all this stuff for a while, so I figured some stuff out, and I haven't figured out the other yet. But then again, I like to switch stuff up too. So. Thank you. I think you're talking about me, but I appreciate it. Mike, I'm not used to that from Talented. I think you're talking about me. Yeah, it's I don't know. It just depends. I think I get a lot of it from I've done front end development for a long time, and so when you do front end development, you kind of have to have, I don't know, a sense for stuff. Not that, I have a great sense for stuff, but I think, if you start doing front end development, you have to pay attention to a lot of things you don't normally have to pay attention to. Like when I do back end development, front end, it's typically either you get a design handed to you that you have to recreate in code, or you have no designer, so you have to design it yourself. So I've done UX a lot of times, not by choice, but just because projects I worked on didn't have a designer at all. So I've had to do UX and design stuff because otherwise we wouldn't have a front end or a website to work on. So, but yeah, awesome. Thank you. I think that's about me. I appreciate it. I'm taking it either way. Oopah. Also super happy to announce that I have started my stream on Twitch to document my home lab journey and share my learning with future employers. Oh, that is awesome. I believe that us home labbers does and knows so much, but the world is completely unaware of it. Super inspired by you. Thank you. Hey, I appreciate it. Yeah, that's a great way to document it too, is just through video. It's a great way. And I realize that, so one thing, I always talk about, hey, like if you do home lab stuff, try to document it. Try to put it somewhere public, right? In code, on GitHub, in documentation, on who knows, Notion, published, or anything else like that. Try to publish that stuff, try to log that stuff, and keep that stuff, because someday that stuff that you like to do as a hobby could help you in your career, which I found it kind of has, but. I found it has in the past. Definitely has. And it helped me definitely on my first job. Because that's what I talked about, because I had no experience. I had no experience when I was getting into tech support, except for college. So there wasn't a lot of stuff that I could relate to, like enterprise-y type stuff, except for what I was doing at home. So anyways, I think that's great. But yeah, you're going to the next level and you're saying, hey, I'm gonna record my journey and put it out there, put content out there, maybe on Twitch and YouTube. And then show people that. So I think that's awesome too. It's awesome. You should, and then make like a clips version of it, where you can show, your future employer, like the 1 minute version of like, hey, here's what I like to do. But I realized doing a lot of this publicly, even this Twitch stuff and YouTube stuff, they both have different parts of my brain, right? Twitch, super interactive, thinking on my toes. This is really, like, doing this on Twitch has helped me with a life skill that I've struggled with for a long time, which is being able to think on my toes, right? It's being able to have something asked to you and be able to give a semi-decent answer to. And then YouTube's helped me on the other piece where it's like, okay, there's no rambling. I got to stick to the script. I got to write a script. I got to edit it and whittle it down and try to tell a story. So both of these things that I do have really helped me on a lot of life skills that I think help me everywhere. So anyways, that's enough about me. But I'm glad, Utpa, that you're going to do that. Love to see it. Brome, now I have a problem with PHP memory for a query database, and I'm trying to solve it. Ew, yeah, that does not sound good. PHP memory for query database. Yeah, that does not sound good. So I assume you're either querying too much data, or you're getting too much data back, or you're using some kind of ORM that's writing bad queries for you. Who knows? That does not sound like fun to solve, but I think you'll get it. I think you'll get it. I mean, if you're debugging the code yourself, which it kind of sounds like you are, because you know that, hey, this memory thing exists, I think you'll get it. You'll get it. Frigid Souls, hey, how's it going? Good to see you. Good to see you. I'm trying to make sure I am addressing the right things. Let's see. Zendy. So my third Proxmox node did not recognize its local LVM, so reinstalling it. We'll go through your YouTube videos on setting up Proxmox for the 24th time later this evening. Hey, Zendy, that's awesome. I'm glad. I'm not glad that you can't set it up, but I'm glad you referred to that video, because that's my number one all-time video. And that was just kind of like, hey, here's a reminder to myself for the next time I set up Proxmox. The things I need to do, and it ended up being like one of my most popular videos. I think it contributed probably the most growth to my channel ever. I do plan on revisiting that sometime. I mean, there's only been a handful of things that have slightly changed, and I kept the document up to date. But it's pretty awesome. I mean, I honestly went back to my blog post yesterday because I actually went back to that blog post and referred to it to set up yet another Proxmox node. Actually, it's my old Stornator. The kind of nice thing about Unraid is that it's installed on a USB. So if I don't want to run it, I just boot from the disk. If I do want to run it, I just run from the USB, which is pretty cool. Obviously, you gotta have you can't touch the disks in the array or the Unraid, the thing that's not a RAID but kind of is. So yeah, I went back to that and I was like, oh, how do I bond these NICs? You know, how do I bond these NICs and make them VLAN aware, and also at the same time make them DHCP, and oh, by the way, you know, team them too. So it was I had to go back to that. Anyways, I'm glad you find some value in that video and that blog post for sure. I look way too professional in that. I look way too professional in that video. It was my early YouTube days, and I'm just kind of like, hi. Yeah, I was just, I was scared to death to be behind the camera. I still kind of am now, but I've learned to prepare a little bit better than I used to then. So, Mike's Go, I would love for anyone to showcase ARM DSM for running Synology DSM7 within Proxmox. Huh. Oh, okay. So I got Arc DSM. I got you. So you would love to see someone who's running basically the Synology OS inside of Proxmox, which I think you can do. There's like some shim you can add to get it working that I've seen before, which is pretty interesting for sure. That was your sub message. Migrating Fastify. Is that like Fastly? I assume it is. But Fastify API routes today. Good luck. It is such a killer supplement to Proxmox. So about that guide, hey, thank you. Oh, I think you're talking about the DSM thing. Sorry. Got something in my throat. Let's see. I have never installed Proxmox LVM anymore. Yeah, LVM can I don't know. It's can give you troubles. It's kind of sometimes hard to wrap my head around, especially if there's only one disk. That's where I'm kind of like, ooh, what's going on? Brome, do you have any memory problems with Pi-hole when trying to load Pi-hole query database? Because when I chose last 7 days, I get an error. I haven't done that in a while. So I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to see your statistics over 7 days, which is a lot of data. A lot of data for that little poor MySQL database that's running inside of there. But, it should work. I mean, MySQL is pretty performant, even though I make fun of it sometimes. I mean, people use it for a lot bigger things. So, dude, sudo Al, how's it going? Al for Albert. All right, I got it. It was Al. See, it's sometime, unless they have the serifs, it's kind of hard to see. Been using UniFi APs for years now and running pfSense plus UniFi self-hosted controller. Finally pulled the trigger to buy UDM Pro when my pfSense box broke. Oh yeah. Personally, I think you're gonna love it. I think you're gonna love it, especially since you already have the hardware and you're self-hosting the network controller. You're gonna get more features than you had before with just the network controller. Kind of hard to wrap your head around because I hosted the network controller and then I got a UDM Pro and I was like, what? It was just hard to wrap my head around. But if you just think of that box as, hey, it has a UniFi OS on there, and then on that UniFi OS you can install applications, then it's kind of like, okay, it kind of makes sense. But they didn't distinguish the two a couple years back, and it was hard to realize like what is going on, what's going on in here. Anyways, that's awesome. Hey, I'm sorry your pfSense box broke, but at the same time, excited you got something to supplement it or to replace it, and that it's going to be paired with other stuff. So, but yeah, congrats. But going back to, I'm going with Brome. That's what I'm going. Anyways, I haven't tried it in a while. It is going to use a lot of memory to do that. I mean, you're just pulling back a lot of statistics, and then at the same time, that payload that comes back to you might be exceeding something. So I don't know, you could try tweaking it, giving it more memory, or sometimes you just have to wait a really long time. I haven't done it in a long time. I just look at the last 24-hour view, whatever the default view is, I think, when I go there the last 24 hours. So, Romeo Jr., how's it going? How's the Ultimate Home Lab server project going? It is going. It is going. So far, I tested Unraid on it, see what it's all about. Thought it was a great time to, hey, I have a server, has lots of drive space, lots of SSDs, has a video card, and it's not doing anything right now. I thought it was a great time to test Unraid. But last night I started wiping and putting Proxmox on some of the disks so I can test a few more things. But it's going good. It's going good. I need to get it up soon because I want it in my home production soon, right? I wish I had one more, right? One more machine that I could always just wipe and test with the hypervisor, but I don't. I'm back in this situation where I don't have one spare machine. And so the timing was right for me to test out Unraid on that box. But I'm gonna put Proxmox back on there so I can do some other things in the future. But it's going good. It's going good. It's fun. It's definitely fun to have something new to me. And even though a lot of that stuff in there isn't new, I've had it for a while. All the things combined together is new to me. So combining, some of those drives are new. So a lot of those drives are new. Oh, 1 second. The dogs are barking. Neighbors plus mine. I forgot my dog was in here. He's chilling back here, and he's like, whenever the neighbor's dog barks, he's like, he kind of, he's doing it right now. Like he wants to bark so loud, but I've been trying to work with him on, hey, you don't need to bark all the time when you hear them. So he's getting better. Now he's just growling. Anyways, so having all of that hardware now all together in that box is kind of new to me. So it's fun. It's fun to be able to play with that. I still need one more box so I could just wipe it on a whim and hey, I'm gonna put Unraid on here for a week. Hey, I'm gonna put Proxmox on here for a week. So maybe I'll get to that soon. Speticole. Thinking about using Bind9 for DNS instead of the built-in DNS from pfSense. Thoughts on that? What do you use for DNS? Hey, we just talked about this a little bit earlier. I mean, I use Pi-hole. My even though my needs aren't simple, I feel like it's met everything I need. Someday, I felt one day I would like to go to something else for DNS. I know Bind9's out there. There's Power DNS. There's all these other DNS systems that are open, and I've considered it, but I have to turn it into a project because that will be a project for me. Because right now I have 5 DNS servers. 2 of which are in the colo that sync to 3 of them here. Actually, they all sync to 1. And so, I'd have to do some changes. I do like the idea of having, infrastructure as code for DNS. Absolutely, for sure. because changing DNS and doing a search and find and replace would be so easy. So easy if it was all like in VS Code and YAML or something like that. JSON, doesn't matter, some schema. If By9 sounds great. I know Christian has a video on it. You can totally check that out. But I'm not there yet. Not there yet. I would like to play with it somewhere in the lab before I truly make a switch. But then I still have to find, some kind of ad blocker upstream, for blocking lists, and maybe that's still Pi-hole. So, but I would say anything other than like what your router provides as DNS is always an improvement, right? I feel like even for Unify, even for pfSense, like DNS on there is just kind of like, hey, low effort DNS. And I get it. Like, they have more to worry about, security, firewall, and all this stuff. So if you end up picking a system that's focused on DNS, you'll get a lot more features. Low effort DNS. Dude, sudo Al, my coworker recommended Techno Tim for DNS. Not Techno Tim. Technetium. I know exactly what you're talking about. I don't know how to pronounce it, but I've seen it. And yeah, that's one I was really considering too. I was considering that. That's on my short list of things to try because it looks awesome. It's open source, and I don't know how to pronounce it, but absolutely, that's on my short list too. Yeah, good talk. Trevor, hey, I personally use Windows DNS in my environment. Absolutely, that's if you're running Active Directory, that's pretty much part of the deal, right? It's a requirement. So if you're going to run Active Directory at home, or you already are, and you're thinking, hey, what should I run for DNS? Yeah, Windows, DNS is going to be the way to go because it's integrated right with Active Directory, and I think a requirement for it too. So I don't think you would have Active Directory unless you had the whole DNS forest set up with it. Yeah, good call, Trevor. Good call. Power DNS. Yeah, that's another one I hear about a lot. Power DNS. That's one I mentioned too. Technetium or whatever is the other one. Bind is another one. But there are quite a few that are pretty good. I do use Pi-hole. That is right. I'm sticking with it until like I said, I need that make me move. Would like to try the new Zero Trust DNS server from Microsoft. Oh, Zero Trust DNS. What does that even mean? I'm trying to wrap my head around that. It's almost like authenticated DNS or something. I don't know. That sounds interesting. Yeah, you have to let me know how that works. Because that would mean like your clients would not trust any DNS at all. And like, I don't trust any DNS unless there's some kind of handshake that says, hey, I do trust you. Which sounds like it takes something on the client side too. But it sounds awesome to me. Hey, I'm all about that. If there's a way for me to say, hey, yeah, absolutely, you only get resolutions from this DNS server, that'd be great. And if somebody, stood up a rogue DNS server and took yours offline, that it would say, hey, yep, nope, not going to do anything. Not going to do anything with that. Sounds fun. Sounds fun to play with. Yet another reason why I need another machine or three. I want a spare cluster, and I think it's getting to the tipping scale where I either build another cluster out of mini PCs or the MSO one from Minis Forum, and then do some flip flop on my current system. Because I could buy 3 Minis Forum. That's going to be expensive. Totally kit them out and then use that for my DNS, my Kubernetes cluster at home, and then use my Intel NUX as, kind of my playground cluster. I think I'm talking myself into it. I have so many things I need to buy before that. Like I need to fix my audio. That's number one on my list, but I don't want to drop $500 to do it. But I know it's absolutely the right thing that I need. For some reason, that's a tough pill to swallow. 200-ish, okay, yeah, no problem. If it's something I really need, I wouldn't think twice. Like, yes, that's exactly what I need. That is the right thing. I'm gonna have it for years. $200. When it gets into 500, that's where I start to, that's where I really scrutinize everything about it. Watch at least 10 videos on it. So, anyways, Tech Freak 2, love Unraid. Been running it years on multiple servers. That's what I hear. I love the one one thing that I realized when I got into Home Lab is like, there's a lot of people who don't like stuff and are very vocal about the things that they don't like. Like a lot of people are very, very passionate about the things they don't like. Trust me, I know, I've heard them all in comments for everything you could possibly imagine. But I feel like sometimes those people, albeit it's great to have that kind of engagement, but I feel like sometimes those drown out the people who might want to say, hey, I like this thing, I like this thing. And so the people who are saying, I hate this thing, kind of drown out the people who say, hey, I like it, it's good. Anyways, that's one thing I realized about creating this video. There's so many people that just came out of nowhere, and it's like, I love Unraid. I was like, that is awesome. I'm glad you love it, and I'm glad a lot of people do love it. And again, like me trying it out, I feel like I just want to be a super well-rounded Home Lab person. Since I think that's what people turn to me for, I got to try the things that, people don't like. I got to try the things that are probably pretty obscure, just to see what they're like. I got to try the things that maybe I formed an opinion about that I don't like for whatever reason, even though I've never tried it. So I'm trying to have an unbiased opinion, but there are some biases involved because I'm a human being and I like things and I like certain things. I have a team for everything, every brand. But then again, I still want to give everything a fair shake and at least talk about it. At least welcome the people in who do like that thing. So anyways, I'm glad you like it. I realize that there are so many people who really do like it. And a good litmus test of that is exactly what you said that I'm discovering too. You have multiple servers running Unraid. And so that's another thing I learned about the community. People who have one Unraid server don't have one Unraid server. They have like 3. They have like 3 plus like a couple licenses in their pockets just in case. So the people who use Unraid are very passionate about Unraid, and they have multiple servers. So I'm glad I'm glad to be able to connect with some of those people, because it's fun when people are super excited about stuff, even if it's not the stuff that I do every day. And anyways, it's actually better that I learn and grow from people who do different things than me. So anyways, I'm glad you love Unraid. I'm super glad to be able to finally understand hey, what it's about and see what all the hype is and if it lives up to the hype. And I think it does. And I think they're really trying to, I think in these next couple of versions, they're trying to convert a lot of TrueNAS users, TrueNAS home users. It's what they're trying to do. Because one, it's not running Kubernetes, it's running plain old Docker. And 2, they're adding ZFS. And 3, they have a great community building all of those apps in Docker. And so it's, I think that's what they're going after now. They're trying to convert people who are using TrueNAS for free and saying, hey, we have a lot of stuff that you can get. And for $50 or whatever you pay, $100, it's going to save you that amount of time in tenfolds. Anyways, let's move on. I'm like going after their marketing concepts and stuff like I really know. This is all speculation, but I can kind of see it. Mike's go, yeah, I saw the Unraid video, but wasn't impressed. Xenpenology is where it's at for me, LOL. Oh, that's the thing I was talking about. Xpenology is like the way to self-host. It's the way to run Synology's software, not on their hardware. That's exactly what it is. That is exactly what it is. Trevor, I use TrueNAS as a SAN. There you go. Not the best application for TrueNAS. Yeah, maybe. As a SAN, I thought that's kind of what they wanted some people to use it for. I could be wrong. I thought so. No, because yeah, with SAN, it's almost like a disk shelf at that point. Something. Yeah. So it's I need to do more. I thought SANs were usually appliances, but I think that's why you're saying hey, I'm using it as a SAN, and that's not what it's built for. I love it. I love it. Mike, I'd like you to be dipping into IPv6 and explaining that for the lesser mortals. You have an awesome talent for explaining complex topics. Mike Sco 3? Maybe. I think that might be, well, thank you. First of all, thanks for the compliment. I appreciate it. That might be something I'll have to break down, but I think, I'm kind of like avoiding that because I have to fully understand it first and I have to live it. You know, I don't have IPv6 turned on in my environment. I know that Windows, like from 7 on or something, like uses it for peer-to-peer communication between other Windows machines, but that's it. Like, I don't go as far as disabling it on machines, but I don't set it up and I don't use it knowingly. So, yeah, it's a tough one to figure out. I would have to put some time behind that one, but I agree. I mean, that's a perfect topic where it's like, hey, here's something I don't fully understand. I formed opinions and biases about it. I don't want it. But I have no basis for it other than it's different, you know? And so I think that's a good point. And I think that's what I want to do more of is feel really uncomfortable doing stuff that I've never done before. And because I think that helps me grow. But yeah, good point, Mike Skull. I went into that thinking no way, and I came out of it thinking, yeah, maybe way. Mr. Extremely, hi Tim. Have you tested Wuzza already? If so, was it via Docker? I have not. I know about it, and I will at some point. And yes, it will be via Docker. I realize that most of the things that I'm going to talk about, like if there's a container for it, I'm going to use the containerized version. And I'm learning that a lot over this next thing that I'm going to talk about is because it's not containerized in the traditional Docker sense to where I totally get where containers can be a benefit. So yeah, anyways, yeah, anytime for the most part, anytime I'm going to talk about something that can be containerized, if I'm going to teach it, I'm going to do the container way because I don't have to worry about any dependencies at all. I don't have to worry about clashes for versions that are installed. Like all of that stuff is solved with Docker. And I don't want to go, in my mind, back to something where I have to worry about that. Hey, I don't have the right version of whatever, Java installed. Like, those days are over for me. Those days are way over for me. I don't have the right version of Java installed. I don't have the right version of Ruby install, kind of, sort of. If you're doing local development, you still have to do that. You could use the containerized version. But I feel like that problem for me is solved. And it's solved by containers because they include the dependencies you need. So I never have to think about it. I never have to think about, even on my build servers or anything like that. That was the biggest piece for me where I was like, yes, container in CI time, 100% makes sense. Because prior to that, I managed a build server where I had to install like 50,000 dependencies, and because of that, we had to have like 5 versions of Ruby installed, and it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. As soon as we got into containers during CI, I was like, this is absolutely the future. Anyways, going back to Wuzza, I'm off in the weeds, more than usual. I want to understand it some more. And it's been in my short list for a long time. I think Network Chuck did something on it a while back, and I watched it, and I kind of want to understand it a little bit more. But it sounds interesting for security, right? I assume security and listening to what's going on within your environment and on clients, I guess you should say, in your environment. Man of War, I've been burned so many times by True Charts on TrueNAS, I definitely considered Unraid more than a few times. I just can't get on board with the USB as a boot drive. Hey, yeah, good point. So Man of War, yeah, I totally agree on the True Charts things. So have I been burned? Me personally, I have not yet. I've heard a lot about it. I only use 2 charts. I haven't even used True Charts. I'm using the official TrueNAS charts, not from True Charts. But I have heard that with any Helm chart that you kind of get burned with them, especially if you update and there's a major version for the Helm chart and you have no idea what the property is that changed in the values file. It just happened to me this morning. I bumped my MySQL server. Yeah, let's go. Oh, version 39 to 40. It'll be fine. No, it wasn't. And I bumped it to version 40. MySQL is down for about 15 minutes. And I was like, okay, I got to go look at the changelog. I got to see what they deprecated. Oh, they deprecated this way that you authenticate. You have to change it to this now. 100% my fault. Because that's a major version is supposed to signify, hey, there's a breaking change. Hey, you need to do something. Anyways, long story short, I haven't run into it. I've heard it a lot, but you're right. It is tough to get on board with the USB boot drive. I agree. Like, that's another thing where I feel like, aren't we past that? I remember that's how I used to run ESXi for a long time. It was cool then. Like, it was cool then. You're like, yes, it's all in memory. It's all in RAM. It's all in this USB drive. But it's definitely not cool for, like, I don't know, for any kind of reliability whatsoever. And so I totally agree. I would love it if they just said, hey, you know what? Tie it to a GUID on my motherboard. Like Microsoft has figured this out with Windows. I mean, so like, why couldn't Unraid change like the way that they do it? But then I think then they need more of an OS installer instead of a disk imager, which I think is what they should do, honestly. Like, if you're going to run something that's pretty critical, and if you think like, hey, this is my NAS plus my application server, you want to build some redundancy in there. One of the first easy things to do is build redundancy into your boot drive, and you can't do that. You can't do that with a single USB. So I agree. It's something I wish they would put some engineering time into, but I think that's. I don't want to say that ship has sailed, but that's been baked into, Unraid for a long time. So I'm sure they have very smart people thinking about it and all the reasons why they can or can't do it and why they haven't yet. But I honestly think they should. They should, especially if they are selling a product and they're selling it. This is and their customers want it. I think the customers just need to be more vocal about it, because really they do listen to their customer feedback. And so I think if you're a customer, and that's something you want, you just got to drum up support for it. Go in the forums and say, hey, I'd love for this to be in a version. Is this ever coming? Here are the reasons why. And maybe other people say, hey, yeah, me too. And so maybe you or someone could influence their development and the future of it, because they really do listen to people. They even reached out to me and they were like, hey, we know who you are, and we freaking we wrote down, or we took note of everything you said, and we value this feedback. And that was really awesome for them to reach out to me too. So yeah, pretty cool. Anyways, I'm there too with the boot drive. It's hard I kind of feel like it's going backwards, when you have the infrastructure and the hardware at home to run, a mirrored drive, why not? Why does it have to be on USB? I agree. A Man of War, but the new Jailmaker solution in TrueNAS scale looks promising. The Jailmaker. Is this something to do with their containers or jails, bringing jails over from BSD? I don't know. It does sound kind of like they're shoehorning something in. Honestly, if TrueNAS just dropped Kubernetes altogether and had Docker, I think that would be a huge win. I get it. It'd be a huge step back, right? With their development, because they invested all this time. They invested all this money, into making, Kubernetes work in TrueNAS. And I think some people would see it as a sign of defeat. I don't. If they yanked it out today and put it on, Docker only as an alpha tomorrow, I would run the alpha in my production. I would because while I think Kubernetes has its place, I don't think it has a big place on TrueNAS. And I say that just being honest, because you're not getting any of the benefits of Kubernetes on a single node, a single node NAS. And so I'm still when I heard it was coming out and I heard Scale was coming out, I thought, okay, could make sense. You scale out your TrueNAS instances. I'm going to run 3 instances, scale out. I'm going to run Kubernetes on 1 and boom, just because now that I have 3, node TrueNAS, now I have a 3-node Kubernetes cluster. I thought in my head, that's where it's going. I was like, that sounds pretty cool. That sounds awesome for the people who are going to scale out, but it's not like that. I don't think that's ever going to happen. So I honestly wish they would just yank it out, listen to their customers, because I don't think any customer is saying, yes, I want that Kubernetes in there. And who knows? I'm only hearing what other people are telling me, and then I see the struggles that people go through, or the reasons why they choose not to use it. Like so many people holding on to the BSD version, to core. I just think it's definitely not the right place. Like if there isn't a future for Kubernetes on TrueNAS where you're actually going to run a multi-node Kubernetes cluster, I would tear it out. If I was a director of engineering, I would tear it out. People would hate me, probably. I don't know. Honestly, if I was director of engineering, it's easy for me to play armchair quarterback for engineering. Honestly, I would listen to my customers. I would ask them. I think they did run a poll. I don't know how that poll turned out, but I would ask also paying customers first, because they're going to be the ones that make or have the biggest impact, on development. And then I would say, hey, nobody is using it in this way. Let's go back to Docker. Let's give them just an easy form to fill out, and boom, you don't have to rely on Helm charts. And I'll get off this topic right after this, but I think it's important. Another distinction of why I think they should go back to Docker is because every time there's a container release, just a container, TrueNAS or TrueCharts or TrueNAS proper charts, Helm in general, has to recreate a new chart for that new container if they're pinning it to it, right? If they're pinning to it, which they probably are. So it just creates this churn of all this work that they need to do because Plex bumped a fix on, a patch version. And so now, me and this happens to me as a consumer of TrueNAS, I'm waiting 2 or 3 days for a Plex update to come out. Where if I was on Docker, I would just go in the thing myself. I would just bump the tag myself and I'd be done on my way. And so again, I'm going to play armchair quarterback for a director of engineering. If I was a director of engineering, I'd be like, let's get out of this game. Let's get out of this TrueNAS charts, Helm charts game. Free up some of that engineering. Let's go back to Docker because that's what people want and that's what's easy and it gives us an easy form. And let's spend that engineering time of figuring out Kubernetes to something else. Maybe trying to figure out what we're going to do instead, if we're ever going to use Ceph or not. I don't know. It's easy for me to say. And I'm sure if people work at TrueNAS ever watch this, they're probably like, that guy, he's a pain in my butt. But, I'm just trying to echo like my frustration for everyone that I have to, interact with who's using TrueNAS. I would use a lot more containers for sure if TrueNAS went to Docker, and I think that would convince a lot of people maybe who are running Unraid to not Unraid anymore. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of other things that Unraid provides, but I feel like Unraid's getting in there now. They're kind of getting into that market where they're going to say, we got Docker, we got CFS, we have a pretty good UI, we already have a couple hundred apps that just work. Come over here for a little bit. So anyway, sorry, I don't mean to talk about it a lot. It's just top of mind. I'm not trying to downplay any of the engineering work or decisions that went into making TrueNAS what it is today. But I do see a lot of the aftermath from people talking about it. Again, these aren't paying customers, so they have to listen to their paying customers, just kind of how it works in business. But at the same time, the community edition, if a lot of people are thinking about, the community edition of TrueNAS this way, there's probably some enterprise people thinking that too, because at the end of the day, it's people who work on this stuff outside of work that go to work and work on it inside of work too. So anyways, let's move on. I don't know anything about the new Jailmaker, but I hope it's I'm going to preface this with I don't want to criticize their engineering because I have no idea what goes on behind closed doors. I hope it's not porting jails or something to Debian, because I'm like, I just feel like it just feels like a fool's errand when that's exactly what Docker is around for. Anyways, Frigid Souls working on passing through an NVIDIA GPU on ESXi 8 to use as my streaming PC. Awesome. So ESXi 8 and then using an NVIDIA GPUs for your streaming PC. That sounds pretty cool. I can't remember if I used ESXi 5 and 6. And then when I went to 6, they didn't support one of my NICs, and I was kind of salty about that. And then I went to Hyper-V, and then I started trying everything, and that's when I found Proxmox. And then, so I'm kind of glad that ESXi at the time didn't support my NIC, but it was a rude awakening when I upgraded to 6, and it was like, hey, my NIC is gone. Anyways, that sounds pretty awesome. I know that ESXi. Okay, I'm just going to talk about the technology itself. And not the company and all of the drama around it, but ESXi is super performant. Like, they've been doing this stuff very early on, and it is one of the most performant hypervisors out there. It's unfortunate all the other stuff that's going on around it, but yeah, it's pretty good at what it does. VMware did a good thing on that. Everything else later on, who knows? TBD. But awesome. Do you have a pro license or do you have some kind of license? If not, is the home license still available? I don't even remember. I know that they took away the download for it, but maybe the license you could hold on to? Who knows? Yeah, Broadcom, totally. Oh, here we go. Hey, Gumshoe Noir. I will read the top really quick. Hey, Techno Tim, I've been running Home Assistant in Proxmox for years. Now, for the first time ever, I brought up HA. I think you mean Home Assistant. This is the challenge with Home Assistant. The initials being HA, and HA meaning high availability. In Home Lab, you're like, okay, which HA is this? Need some more context. So I've seen a lot of people now doing HASS, HASS. Anyways, doesn't matter. Hey, Microsoft Games, how's it going? Hey, Party Hat. Yeah, what is going on? I wish I could read that. I'm sure there's a lot of great stuff in your message. I do apologize, but I can't read it. But thank you. Thanks for the sub. I appreciate it. Microsoft Games, Tier 1, 3 months. Thank you. How are you doing? How's it going? Anyways, going back to what you were saying. Oh my goodness. Back to here. So Home Assistant, you're running it. You brought up Home Assistant, I assume, for my RV on a Raspberry Pi 4 and a small travel router. I DIY'd the DC voltage data logger to monitor the RV battery. Awesome. Works on my machine. That is awesome. I added an ESP32 cam and a DS18B22. I have a wireless hotspot. I'm wondering, how might I connect it to the travel router without RJ45, which the router has, but the hotspot does not? Oh, let me think. So I have a wireless hotspot I'm using. How might I connect it to the travel router? So this is going to be tough. So if you have a Wi-Fi hotspot and basically, hey, you wanted to use it as your internet, but it has, it connects to data, and then it connects to your clients. It's serving them out that way. It's going to be tough. I don't know. That's tough because it's. Oh. You could, so your wireless router, you make it a client to there. It'll be double NATed, but I don't think it matters. So you could just take, hey, your travel router, if you have two NICs on it, right? Two different NICs, have it be a client and connect to that mobile hotspot, right? That's one way to do it. Another way would be to, if it has, sometimes devices have this, if they have like a micro USB or USB-C that will also provide data, they could just plug in. That might be a simple way. I have no idea. But yeah, I would probably make it a client to your, I would join it wirelessly. I mean, it's kind of what my travel router does. right? It basically is able to join the WAN via wireless and then serve it out to its clients. But yeah, that's what I would do, because that's what my travel router's doing. It's just a little bit different. Let's see. Thorvin, moving from VMware to OpenStack. Holy moly. Yeah, I bet. Because I don't know if, I don't know how much you were using of VMware. I assume you were using all the things to be able to go to OpenStack and use it, because it has all the things also. So that does not sound like a fun migration. That does not sound like a fun migration. Just because you're going to have to have this mental map. Oh, and VMware used to do this. And, in OpenStack now it's this. I've been through those types of migrations before. And sometimes there might not be a one-to-one. There might not be a one-to-one VMware did it with two things and now OpenStack does this with one thing. So now you got to divide it up. Does not sound fun. If you were only using VMware as a hypervisor, which I doubt you are, because now you're going to OpenStack. Maybe you were. If you were, then you could just import all your VMs, but I'm sure you've already thought about that. That does not sound fun. Yeah, good times. Yeah, totally. Mr. Slev, hello from Bolivia. Tim, any suggestions, concerns if I end up doing an SSD-based RAID, like what to know about the types of disks, etc.? Let me grab a sip. So, the common concerns that people bring up to me is wear out. Like, hey, they're going to wear out. Hey, they're going to wear out. I think I've heard that 1,000 times because I do SSD RAIDs and I've been doing SSD RAIDs for about 6-7 years now. And everyone's like, hey, they're going to wear out. And the 30 to 50 drives I've had that are all SSDs, only 2 have failed. And it wasn't wear out. They died. And Samsung replaced them within a week. So my suggestion is, hey, it depends on what you're trying to accomplish with your SSDs. If you're just doing it because hey, I want super fast storage, or this is my, my array for all my VMs, awesome. If you're doing it just because, that's awesome too. Actually, I'm not concerned with why you want to do it. You're convinced you want to, and you want to look out for what could happen. My thought on this has always been, I'm going to go consumer grade, right? I'm not going to spend a bunch of money on enterprise stuff. I don't really, I know I could buy used enterprise stuff, but I'll have to keep buying used enterprise stuff for as long as I have that array. So I made a decision a long time ago. I want off-the-shelf commodity hardware for my hard drives, for most of them, right? And so what I did was load up, I'll buy the same size and the same series if I can, definitely the same vendor, and then I'll load up an array that way. And I make sure that I have a good warranty on them. Samsung, I always buy Samsung. I'm brand loyal to Samsung flash drives because performance has always been there, and the performance, price, and size ratio is usually there. And they go on sale a lot. Anyways, buy whoever you want, but just make sure you have at least a 5-year warranty. And what that does is say, hey, if these die for any reason, they get replaced. And that's just how it works. And even with spinning hard drives, I've had spinning hard drives that have died. I had a whole batch die once with my very first array in my disk shelf. I had hard drives die over a period of 6 months. All of them, all 6. So I've had hard drives die on day one. I've had hard drives that have been running for, 7 years nonstop SSDs, even though the wear out says they're worn out. And so the way I look at it, they're gonna die. They're always gonna die. Make sure you have a warranty, unless you're saving money, a lot of money to where you don't care about a warranty and you can replace it. Then do that. But most of the time, like I said, I get all Samsung SSDs. If one dies, and another thing is I keep one spare. I always keep one spare. It sounds like kind of a waste, but for me it's not. Because I buy all the same size and all the same brand, it is the one spare across 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 servers. So it's one spare across 6 servers. I get it if you have one server and one array, then having one spare might not be the best thing to do. But because I buy commodity and off-the-shelf stuff, I could run down to Micro Center or Best Buy today and get it, or get it same day delivered from Prime. Again, another reason why I buy off-the-shelf consumer grade stuff. And so, anyways, that's a lot of spiel about it. A lot of people are going to say wear out. It's going to die. It's going to wear out. I get it. That will happen. But any hard drive has the chance to fail on day one or never. So I would just say, I would say I've had a lot of, let's put it this way. I've had a ton of success using consumer grade hardware, off the shelf stuff for SSD arrays. And I'm talking about servers running 24/7, like stuff in my colo. Those SSDs have been in there. So they've been in the colo machines for a couple of months. But before that, I had those 1U servers running for 3 years, nonstop. And each of them has 4 SSDs. So 4 times, 12 SSDs that have just been reading and writing, nonstop for, 4 years. So, and the wear out's high, 50-ish%. But at the end of the day, I got a 5-year warranty. And if it dies, just write a ticket to Samsung, give them a serial number. They make me take a picture of it, and they mail it in like 2 days. So anyways, that's a lot of spiel. I had to spend a lot of extra time on that because people tell me that all the time. I get it. Like, yes, there's wear out, but I'm not concerned about wear out personally. Personally, to me, it's just a stat. It's just a stat that says, yes, I totally get it that it has a limited amount of times it can be, written to. I'm still trying to find that limit. Because like I said, I have 3 servers, 4 drives in ZFS array with 13 virtual machines, all reading and writing all day for almost 4 years. And and it's working. Okay, so Trevor, moral of the story is don't worry about it. Keep a spare, buy cheap stuff, know that anything can die at any time. And because of that, I would just make sure that you have a way to acquire another one when one does die. So let's see, Trevor, I'm currently still in the planning stages for moving from TrueNAS to HP Nimble. That's right. You were talking about Nimble. I finally looked at what a Nimble device was. Pretty awesome storage array. So pretty awesome. This is what we were talking about earlier. Have you tried Technetium? I haven't. That's on my short list too. It's on the shortest. It's ranked up there pretty high on my short list of DNS open source DNS systems to use for sure. Elion, Renegade, been trying to figure out setting up traffic. Unfortunately, my brain just doesn't compute with the labels and whatnot, and which ones you have to use every time. Routing, then trying to figure out the internal routing versus external routing. Yeah, I would. I know you've said maybe you've tried this, maybe you haven't. Hey, Geek Steve, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. What I would say, Elion, Renegade, get one working. What's the best way to eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So it sounds like you're trying a lot of things with a lot of internal, external, and so I would say get one working. Get a super easy one working, like I did in my last video. So my last video about traffic has the complete walkthrough, as well as the code on my blog. So, and if you're not trying that one, go look. It's a brand new video, came out, a month ago. So if you're trying the one that is with Portainer and you don't want Portainer, try the new one without it, with Traffic 3. So I hope you get it. A lot of people have been where you're at, and then one day it'll finally click, and then they figure it out, or they find the line that they didn't have, or the label they didn't have. So yeah, it gets tough. It gets tough with labels because it's a lot of times it's not clear that something went wrong, right? Because your label's just a string. And so if your label's a string, there's like no validation that needs to happen on the Docker side. All the validation then happens on the traffic side. And so you're going to have to look at traffic logs. That's another thing too. I will say, like, if you're going to use containers, you got to look at logs. You have to. It's like, so many times in the past I've been able to do trial and error type stuff without looking at logs. because like on an OS, sometimes they're really hard to find. Like, where'd you write this log? Did you write it to the journal? Did you write it? Do you have your own logging system? With containers, everyone logs to standard out on that container. So they're really easy to find. You just do a Docker logs and the container name and you see them. So those might give some clues too. I think if you're new to containers and you're not looking at the container logs, I would say look there because every developer wants you to be successful, the people who build them, and so they usually build errors for themselves as they're debugging it themselves. So let's see. I do that with ZFS all the time, but then sync it over to regular hard drives with Syncoid. I think this is I do that all the time. I think we are talking about, I'm not sure. Sync it over I've heard about Syncoid. I actually heard about Syncoid from Geerling. He was looking for a way to do ZFS that wasn't TrueNAS and being able to sync the two. And we were chatting in a Discord, and that's one of the solutions he was using. Because I think he was trying to sync ZFS, just installed, I think, on Ubuntu, over to a TrueNAS server. So, Trevor, you need to use Multus to get iOS XRD running inside of Kubernetes. Then it'll allow you to run a virtual route reflectors inside of Kubernetes instead of running an iOS XRV 9000. Hey, there you go too. Yeah, another use case. Yeah, definitely. It's one of those things where it can do a lot of stuff. And really, at the end of the day, Multus, even though I said, hey, it'll give you these things, it's kind of like a meta plugin, right? Out of the box, it doesn't do much, except for give you access to other plugins, right? To run alongside with your CNI, your computer container network. So your container network is usually set, or you install one when you run Kubernetes. And what Multus really does technically is it like opens it up and allows you to run plugins or other CNI tools to run along with your current CNI to do more advanced networking things. So yeah, pretty awesome. Hey, Tim, I need to update old Terraform code from version 0.12 to the current, but I don't know where to start. What would your workflow be? I guess this applies to any code that's out of date. Yeah, major versions behind. Hey, good question. Yeah. So how do I deal with tech debt? This is the tech debt, with code. How do I deal with it? Well, there's like the YOLO way of just like update it and kind of hope for the best. But I will say though, even if you get it working, there might be things you're not aware of, right? They might have soft deprecated things to where, even though they still work, it's not the best way to do it. So what I do is going to sound really boring. First thing I do is go out to their GitHub and look, do you have an upgrade guide? I look at the upgrade guide. Like anytime I do React upgrades, Node upgrades, any kind of upgrade, except for the Helm chart upgrade this morning, I usually look at the release notes and see if they have an upgrade guide. If it's something major, and this development community like Terraform is going to get a lot of questions about it, they usually write one. So I would go through there, and a lot of times they'll say, hey, this is now deprecated, change this to this, and this to this, and this to this. And so it'll give you kind of clues, kind of give you, a roadmap of what to do to get things working. That's when I go after first. So if I'm thinking about this, like, hey, not Terraform, but just anything in general, changelog, look for an upgrade guide. If you're a lot of versions behind, I would do the incremental updates too. And just to at least look at the release notes, right? Because if I was 5 versions behind, right? And I'm just like, I'm just going to look at the latest version and see how they do it there. Well, they might have deprecated things along the way too. But I won't go as far as like making sure it works on each upgrade that I do. I just address the things that were deprecated or changed. So that's what I usually do. I'm not usually like, I'm gonna up, I just updated it to whatever 0.9, and so now I'm gonna make sure it works. No, I'm usually like, okay, I addressed it all. I addressed everything that they said that I should change and go from there. But it's really, I don't know. Really, it's so if I had a task to do this, we're going into developer mode. I would create a branch. I would try to update it each, and I would say, if you are doing this, as you are handling this in Git, I would commit each incremental upgrade too, right? Only because like if something doesn't work, you can go back to the previous commit. So I've been guilty of like keeping my workspace totally dirty and like doing 5 upgrades in one, and then realizing, hey, the last upgrade thing I didn't work, but all the other things did work, and I didn't separate my commits, and so I just like I lost all that time. So if you're doing it and you're doing incremental upgrades from whatever 0.9 to 0.10, once you do that, I would commit that and saying, I would say exactly that: git commit whatever fix or chore, upgrade, Terraform to 0.8 to 0.9. Commit that. You don't have to push it up, and then do the next one, do the next one, and do the next one. So then, like, if you get to a point where you're like, oh, okay, something didn't work that I did, you can at least go back. Anyways, that's a lot of dev stuff, but that's kind of how I go after it. I rely really on the maker of the tool to tell me what changed. And then after all that, then it's, once you bump all your versions and you install all your you do a Terraform init or whatever it is, plan apply, whatever it is to download all the packages again. I think it's a init, even though it is already initted. Then just see if it works, And then with Terraform, then if you're running in CI, you're going to have to make those changes as well. But yeah, it's tough. And this is a good, I probably don't need to tell you, or maybe I do. This is usually stuff I have to tell, like, product owners and, directors of engineering or whoever, is that like, hey, you need to work in tech debt into the product. It always can't be feature, and every release is a new feature. You have to work tech debt into that sprint, And if you have a leader on your team or a product manager who understands that, it'll help a lot. And I've been into positions where, product owners, or no fault of their own, right? They have their own set of priorities. They have to meet deadlines. They have to meet all kinds of stuff. They have a lot of external pressure on them, But I think sometimes you need to communicate, how important it is to address some tech debt with every release. And so just ask them, like, I don't know if this is for work or anywhere, but if you ever work on a development team, I find that the developers working on the thing like really care about tech debt, and you would think that they wouldn't, right? Because a lot of people that I've I work with, really passionate about new features. Everyone is, right? Let's build something new. I don't want to do that old stuff. But I find there's also those people who are really passionate about, hey, let's keep things up to date, like all of our dependencies, because you don't want to run into the situation that you're in right now. Long story short, if you're on a team and you guys do sprints or Kanbans or whatever you're doing, I would say, hey, give me a couple of points. Give me one story a sprint for tech debt. Let's like address it, instead of waiting until we're 3 major versions behind and we can't do XYZ because it depends on a newer version of A. A lot of different letters there, but that's the bad situation to be in, to where it's like, oh yeah, we can't update something else because 15 other things are out of date, and so now we're kind of in a weird spot. So anyways, yeah, I would definitely look into their documentation, look to see their upgrade path, and then if you are gonna do incremental upgrades, commit those all separate commits, and then tell your manager or your product owner, or if it's yourself, work some tech debt stories in too, because that always helps. Docs pages do the best for sure. Look up the providers you are using. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Let's see. CBN Sandwich. Tim, thinking of deploying Ubiquiti for a Soho office Wi-Fi setup. 5,400 square feet with high ceilings, 20 feet. Have up to $1,500 budgets. Any recommendations? If I had $1,500, that's I know that doesn't seem like a lot for hardware, but for Soho, that's kind of it's a decent amount of money. Yeah. So me personally, that I like Unify and Ubiquiti stuff. So a couple of things. Like one, if you're gonna remotely manage this thing, you might need a cloud controller or a cloud controller there. You probably need the network controller there too, right? If you're going to buy access points. And so I would either look at, either not the UniFi Express, but either their newer gateway that can handle up to a gigabit of traffic, or UDM, Pro, most likely. Only because it's pretty cost effective. It's more cost effective than buying the things individually. But it really depends on their download speed too, right? If this is like a small office that only has, 100 megabit up and down, UDM Pro might be kind of overkill for it. But if they're ever going to go more than 1 gigabit, then it won't be overkill for them. So I would, do they need VPN access? Like, I have so many questions. But if all of that side, all of that was not even gigabit down. Yeah, so I think you can, I think you can get by with not an Express, the one up from that. VPN, yes, yeah, this is awesome. So yeah, one of their newer gateways, I forget if it's called the Ultra. I don't know. I don't work for them, so I can forget product names. But they released a couple. There was the UniFi Express, which was like an all-in-one, like Wi-Fi 6 access point plus a firewall, which I actually gave to my dad, and he's using it to this day, and it's fantastic for just my dad. Probably wouldn't give it to an office of people. And so there's one step up before you get to the UDM Pro. I think it's the Gateway Pro or something like that. Not Swiss Army knife, no, because those are access points. Anyways, I'm talking about the firewall still and all of that. There's some gateway that has stuff I should know. Yeah, I shouldn't know. I don't work for them. And then, but then I would just go for like Wi-Fi 6 access points. I think they have some pretty cheap ones. Are they going to be using Wi-Fi 6? Probably not. Or maybe if they have phones, definitely will. I probably wouldn't put money into Wi-Fi 7 stuff, especially if you have a $1,500 budget. I mean, there's only like 1 or 2 devices on the planet that even support Wi-Fi 7. Not saying you shouldn't buy it for future growth, but if it's a small office like this, I would go with UniFi Wi-Fi 6 access points, and 6 for sure. And I wouldn't go with enterprise versions or anything like that, because I think depending on how many clients, I think each access point can handle 400 or 500 clients. And so really you just want to get some spread there, right? You just need coverage. I honestly think you could probably, this 5400, I don't know if it's 2 floors. I've never designed wireless for anyone but myself. so take this with a grain of salt. But they have a bunch of tools too. They have a Wi-Fi signal analyzer thing too, where you can, see, you can put one up, see how far away you can get, and then put another one up. I don't know. You don't want me designing your wireless. Oh yeah, actually, I would love to do it sometime. I would love to do it. If someone was like, hey, I need wireless throughout this building, I'd be like, oh yeah, let me try that. It sounds like fun. But 1 floor, but block walls in between. Yeah, I don't know. You're going to have to do a lot of testing, but I think $1,500 should do it. It should do it. I mean, excluding whatever, you're going to have to do cable runs and all that stuff. I don't know how many access points. I assume since you say 5,400 square feet, it's 2 levels of 2,700 square feet, making this up. So I don't know how many APs you need in a 2,700 square foot area. I don't know if it's 2 or 3. So you'd need 6 total. I'm making all this up. But I think it'll be great. I don't know. If you really want a good answer, Chris from Crosstalk Networks, he's really great at this stuff. And also Cody from Mac Telecom Networks. I mean, they do this for a living. And so if you want some hints on how to do that, they've both done installs. I think some of their greater videos are the ones where they've done installs on sites. Because I can get inside of their mind to think oh, why did they choose this device? Oh, why are they putting that device there? Or how many people are they planning on serving in this area? So if you probably know them, but Chris from Crosstalk Networks and Cody from Mac Telecom Networks, they both have great videos doing site installs, and I honestly think those are their best videos because I get a ton of insights It's rare. It's rare that I get to get inside the mind of like a networking person who does installs. And so anytime that I see those videos, I watch them because it's like watching most DIY stuff or how you fix stuff. Yes, you want to know how to fix the thing, but at the same time, you kind of want to get inside that person's mind and think of like, why did you use that? Is this the best way to do it? And so you'll get a lot of that too. Yeah, great question. I will say though, Crosstalk also has like this network part picker or unified part picker thing he built too, which is pretty cool. So you can plan your deployment. So, I'm running out of breath. I am going a little bit over. I am gonna try to wrap it up here in a second. I'm gonna look for some comments, but really quick, Mr. Kesu and Xnookie, hey, thanks so much for the follow. Appreciate it. Scotch, hello, how's it going? Yakto, how's it going? A YWS update. Had Craft Computing out at YWS yesterday, racking a server. All right, yeah, I gotta see. I want to see photos of this. That is awesome. So yeah, YWS now has an influencer program. Oh, Jeff would be so mad if I called him an influencer. A creator. So YWS now has a creator program, and he's hosting creators at YWS. This is awesome. Good to see you, Yakto. Good to see you. Okay, I'm gonna look for probably a new one that I haven't read out. There was a lot of questions that were highlighted or asked during subs and bits. Let's see. Is there a new chatter? I'm gonna find a new chatter who asked me something that maybe hasn't moving back to. I read that one. Terraform code. There was a lot that I have read. I'm just gonna click on one. I'm gonna click on one because I think a lot of the new chatters I did read out already. Gumshoe Noir has something he says. Gumshoe Noir, I need to find you on my other list. For DNS, I use Pi-hole with bind behind it on a different TCP port. I configure the bind server with Terraform for a local LAN domain name. That is awesome. I've wanted to do this whole like Terraform with Pi-hole thing. That was the other thing. Like it's like two opposite ends of the spectrum, right? You're taking something that's so home, it's so home, it's Pi-hole, something that was built originally, I think, for Raspberry Pi to do DNS and ad blocking and stuff like that. DNS basically blocking, and then you're pairing it with this super enterprise thing that is Terraform. And so I've wanted to do that for a long time. And then you're using bind. Yeah, I do use bind too on mine as well, but pretty cool. See, I want to do that. I still want to do it. That to me sounds like a channel 2 kind of thing where I can just kind of explore it and do it just because. So I need to get that on my list for channel 2. I don't know if it's technically channel 3, but then if I say it's channel 3, people are like, well, what's channel 2? And then I got to explain, well, I have this one where all of these recordings go, and they're like, oh, okay. And they get it. I'm actually writing this down so I don't forget, because this is something that's been on my short list, but in my mind short list. Because now that I have this other channel now, it's just like, sweet, this is perfect topic for that. It's not something that I could get into my main one, I could, but like really, who's going to be like, yes, sign me up, Terraform with Pi-hole? Maybe a lot of people. Gumshoe Noir's doing it, so maybe a lot of people. The opposite of forgetting is writing down. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that is right. Okay, wow, a lot of talk, a lot of things to talk about. Thank you so much for joining in, for tuning in today on this Saturday. I did go a little bit over. I went about a half hour over. I know that I was late starting and usually late end, and now I'm late ending. So I apologize, or you're welcome. Apologize to the mods. I went a little bit longer than normal, and if you like to sit here and chat about stuff, I'm glad you stuck here through it. Speaking of chatting, if you had chat or want to chat or want to talk about things that maybe we didn't talk about, we have a Discord. Thank you, PC Geek, full of 10. We're so close to 10,000 members. We're so close to 10,000 members, but we're really close to 10,000 members. I said that 3 times now, but there's a lot of people there who you see in the stream, but a lot of people you also don't see in the stream who like to talk about home labbing, networking, hardware, storage, even memes and funny stuff. So I encourage you to join Super Low Ping. And it's not all about me. It's all about what people are working on. So, which I like it that way because I get a ton of inspiration from what people are working on. So encourage you to join. And if you asked something and I didn't get to it or I accidentally skipped over it, wasn't on purpose, you can ping me in there with your same question. I'll follow up there too. Or you'll get a better answer for someone who's a lot smarter there too. There's always that. So anyways, thank you so much for tuning in. I do appreciate it. There was bits, there was follows, there was subs, there was resubs. So thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. I will be back here next Saturday on Twitch. This will be on YouTube here soon, probably tomorrow. And I should have something out on Channel 2 here shortly. And there's a lot of stuff. I kind of like this having this other channel. It makes me almost too busy, and I love being almost too busy. That's been my whole life. If I'm not almost too busy, then I'm bored. I don't know. I'm weird like that. So, anyways, I would love to also continue that conversation about like, hey, like how do I scope out, a network project? Because I would love to understand like what people think, like, hey, there's 4 rooms. Well, where do you put the access points? In the rooms, in the halls? Like, I have no idea other than like, when I worked at enterprises, like I could look and see where they're put, but I don't know if that was always the best place. But when you have a blank canvas like you do, I would love to pick your brain about like, hey, how do you choose to put things where they are? Anyways, that's a topic for another day or Discord. Like I said, I'll be back here Saturday. I will have something out soon. If you're in the U.S., have a happy and safe Memorial Day, especially safe. I want you to be happy too, but I really want you to be safe. A lot of people doing a lot of crazy things because they're getting a taste of summer this weekend. And so just be responsible if you're tasting summer this weekend. So have a happy weekend. I will be here next week. Take care, folks. Be good to each other. Take care.